This is my journey, inspired one story at a time. A library of leaders was created. It began as a journey to learn. As time went on, it began to grow. All it needed was a platform, and this podcast was created to listen, to inspire, to share. I am a storyteller, and this is my journey. Welcome to another episode of Profiles in Leadership. I'm your host, Steve Anderson, and today our guest is Ryan Rottman, who is the co-founder and chief operating officer of AthleteAgent.com, a groundbreaking sports tech platform. In his role, Ryan oversees business operations, strategic partnerships, and platform development, helping expand the site's reach across professional leagues and enhances its database of verified athlete and team contacts. Before stepping into the tech and sports business world, Ryan built a successful career in entertainment, starring in films such as Billionaire Boys Club, The Open Road, and a variety of Hallmark originals, as well as television series like 9021, oh, I screwed that up, 90210, right?
90210, yes, sir.
Okay. The Middle and The Lion Game. His background in production and storytelling has been instrumental in shaping AthleteAgent.com's users' experience and brand identity. Ryan combines business acumen with creative vision, bringing a unique edge to the intersection of sports, media, and tech. So, Ryan, welcome to the program. It's great to have you on today.
No, I appreciate you having me. I couldn't have said that any better. Every time I say your name, I think of the Matrix, Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, I've heard that
I'm
before.
sure you do.
That's true. Well, let's talk a little bit, get a little context from you, but it doesn't say it in the bio, but it should be mentioned that the other co-founder of this venture that you got going is the one and only Aaron Rodgers, as in the NFL football star.
Yes, sir. He knows how to sling a football,
He certainly does.
amongst other things. A very, very smart individual and great friend and
So
great businessman.
let's just start with a little context. Tell us
Yeah.
where you grew up. I think you said Texas, and how you got to Hollywood, and then how you got to where you are. So just give us a little summary of kind of the background of your journey so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in a small town in Texas called Lufkin. It's kind of right dead center between Houston and Dallas. It was a very fun place to grow up, great upbringing, a lot of outdoors. That's where I actually learned my passion and love for golf, um, which ended up being such a big part of my life, and it really helped with business as came on later in life, but it was such a great part of my life and passion for me. So I grew up in Texas, small town. Always had business acumen from my father, but when I went to Texas Tech University, I decided to study in business with a minor in theater. Theater had always kind of been something that it interested me, but again, growing up in a small town in Texas, there wasn't really a theater department. It
Yeah.
was, football is king. And I dabbled in a few plays at Texas Tech. Ended up having an opportunity. I didn't know anyone and just kind of took the plunge and said, "Hey, I'm going to go to Los Angeles for a summer and take an acting school." And oddly enough, it was called New York Film Academy in Los Angeles. Don't ask me why; it makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Uh, and it was right in the heart of Hollywood. And in that time of being there, I really enjoyed it. And that was more of a film class as opposed to a theater class. So I loved theater, but I really liked the film aspect of it. In that time, I met a guy named Todd Phillips, who is one of the great writers, directors of our time. He did The Hangover, Starsky and Hutch, Old School, Road Trip, a bunch of The Joker, a bunch of great films. And became such good friends with him that he said, "Why don't you come out next summer for me and intern?" So I went back to school and dealt with a bunch of the other students in the theater department being like, "Well, film acting is not real acting." And I said, "Well, good luck making money
Yeah,
in theater."
exactly.
And continue on with business. Went back the next year and interned on Starsky and Hutch with Todd and Scott Budnick. And it was we worked on the film Starsky and Hutch with Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller, who were just amazing guys. I remember meeting them for the first time. I'm 6'1", I was 6'2", And these guys are short, but I remember just looking up to them. They were so amazing to
Yeah.
meet and hang with them. We played a lot of poker, as those guys love to do. And in that time of being there, I just, as in business, networking and entertainment is everything. I was able to meet an agent who said, "I'll represent you after they see me some of my work, but you need to move here." And so it was a very tough conversation with my parents to say, like, do I put business on hold? Do I continue and try, throw my hat in the ring for acting? And my parents, without even hesitation, said, if you don't do this, you'll regret it. There's always time to go back to business, but there's never a time that you should pass on an opportunity like this.
Yeah.
And so I took the plunge and I moved to Los Angeles. Uh, Thankfully, because I love business so much through college, I day traded quite a bit. So I built up an nest egg. So I didn't have to go straight into bartending like
Yeah.
99.9% of actors.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I got in there, I started auditioning. And, the rest is kind of history of thankfully I had a working acting career. It's
Mhm.
something like in SAG, which is the Screen Actors Guild. Um, I think it's something like 3% of people in SAG are actually working.
Wow.
And so it's a very, very difficult industry. It's a it's a very it's a big industry that a lot of people end up leaving. But because I stuck it out, tried my best, um, went in with dedication, I was able to make it. And
Yeah.
again, networking, which all transferred over into the business world as we started down this road of athleteagent.com.
So, and then you did make the film, The Boys Club,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, timing wasn't great there, right? That just was a great film, and people highly acclaimed, but the lead actor had some issues to deal with, and it kind of hurt the film, right?
Yeah, I mean that was the most fun I've ever had on a film set. We shot in New Orleans for 4 or 5 months. It was five of us, which made up the Billionaire Boys Club. It was a true story. Um, it was by this amazing director, writer, that had done a bunch of stuff in the past that I was a big fan of. And all five of us were kind of up and coming. And then enter, Kevin Spacey, who is the other lead of the film. And I gotta tell you, New Orleans is great. The It wears off the neat coolness of it after a while.
Yeah.
Um, but again, you spent like 4 or 5 months there with these guys. We all got to become really good friends. Great ton of great stories. Went to a bunch of NFL games. I learned a ton from Kevin Spacey on the acting front. Um, but unfortunately, a lot of what you hear is true. And yeah, the 2 weeks before the film premiered was when everything came out about Kevin Spacey. Now,
Yeah.
hence the titles Billionaire Boys Club.
Yeah.
That didn't really go well in the headlines with Kevin Spacey. So we
Yeah.
didn't have our premiere. We didn't have our big release that we were supposed to have. And I walked in all these audition rooms and it was the talk of the town. And so it was really disheartening to get to miss out on that opportunity. It still got released, but not as widely as it would have. Obviously everything was going on with Kevin Spacey. They kind of wanted to, keep it under the radar. But a lot of that just shows you how much one person can affect such a big range of different people that worked on the film, right? From everyone that was looking forward to this kind of being a stepping stone in their career. And unfortunately, it ended up the way it was. But it was still one of the greatest experiences I've ever had.
So, and then I understand that you had met Aaron Rodgers and kind of in a chance of luck golf tournament type of thing. So, just explain that a little bit, how you got to know Aaron.
Yeah, back to how golf really steered my life. So golf for me is a funny thing. So when you play golf and in business, you go to lunches or meetings, and maybe you spend an hour, hour and a half with someone. But in golf, you're spending 4 hours with that person, right?
Hmm.
And you get to see how they handle adversity. Do they cheat? Do they curse? Are they getting angry at everything? Just how do they handle themselves on a golf course says a lot about them as a person and as a business person. And I got paired up with Aaron, and thankfully we had the same taste in movies. We bonded immediately over The Big Lebowski, and just both had I don't take golf too seriously. I played for my whole life, and I just want to have fun and meet new people and have a beer or something. And he was the same way. And we just really bonded over that and had started this great friendship that has carried on for, I don't know, 15 years. And both have this mindset of he plays football, I do acting, but we deep down both love business and everything that comes along with it. And he had come to me with a project that he was trying to get off the ground, a football film. And he said, "Can you help?" And I, absolutely. So I came in, we got the film sold in like 3 weeks. And he's like, "You kind of know what you're doing with this." And I said, "Well, I've been in the business a long time."
Yeah.
So we started a production company. And then after that, he was able to see that I had some business talent, and it kind of just spiraled off from that. And yeah, then that's so thankfully on the golf course where I met him, and then he's
Yeah.
such a great guy.
So now you're doing your acting thing. You've got some business things on the side as well. So you decide to just kind of leave the Hollywood scene. Although you still do, I understand, like one Hallmark film a year, right? You got a contract for that?
I do. I stay in the Hallmark family. It's
Yeah.
they are really great films. I pretty much play the same character in just a different environment.
Yeah.
I've played a priest, a hockey coach, you name it, I've probably played it. And you always fall in love with the girl that got away
Yeah.
as you rekindle. But they're really
Yeah.
fun to make. There's a huge audience for them. I mean, I think on a good week on 90210, we'd have like maybe 6, 7 million viewers. And on some of these Hallmark films, you have 18 million. And my
Yeah.
demographic completely changed from from young kids watching 90210 to moms and grandmas. Now I've
Yeah.
watched all the films.
Uh,
But yeah, I got to I left, I'd been in Hollywood for a long time. It wears thin on you. And but it did teach me something. And I did see like a white space in the sports world that had been taken in the entertainment world. And there's a website called IMDb, which is
yeah.
Internet Movie Database. And pretty much if your listeners haven't heard of it, they've probably used it at some point. Anytime you look up an actor or director or on Google, the IMDb page usually comes up. It shows their filmography. Well, that was such a big thing in the life of an actor, right? Because it is your business card. So every time I walked in an audition room, my IMDb page is pulled up and they're asking questions about your filmography, projects you have upcoming. And on top of that, there's a pro version and it shows who represents you and their contact information. Well, I'd done the show 90210. One of the producers from Hallmark saw me, looked at my IMDb Pro account, saw who my manager and agent were, reached out. Because that information was correct, I have done 9 Hallmark films and been in the family for a long time. And had it not been correct, I would have missed out on that income and those jobs.
Yeah.
And it really always stuck with me, right? Of how something so simple as that was able to help my career. But I knew all these athletes and Aaron being like the top pinnacle, right? Like he's the top of the top. He's the Tom Cruise. But there's so many other guys and females that are doing that same thing that don't have that top 1% that we're missing out on deal flow
Yeah.
or income because it's especially in the sports world, it's very hard to figure out who represents them. So Aaron and I were at one of our favorite restaurants called Casa Vega in Studio City, California. And I said to him, "Hey, listen, I've had this idea for a long time. Like, why is there not an IMDb for athletes? Like one centralized spot where you can go see all the stuff that the athletes are working on, have worked on, contracts, and more importantly, who represents them." And he just looked at me and goes, "Who have you told?" I said, "I don't know, my parents, a couple of buddies." He said, "Don't tell anyone else." He's like, "There's a white space for this. So many guys in my O line could be getting tons of deals in Green Bay, but aren't because their best friend represents them. They have a Gmail. Like you just don't know." And so
Yeah.
he said, let's do it. And so then there was that kind of moment of, oh shit. Um, I know business, but how do you build a website?
Yeah.
And like anything you're thrown into it, you'll figure it out and you'll learn it. And that's what I did.
Yeah, that's great. So it's basically for those that are unfamiliar with it. So even as simple as something like myself, I would say, "Hey, I want to get this athlete on my podcast." So I can go into this website, I can pull it up, and then it's a subscription model. So if I want the real contact, I've got to pay the subscription fee, but then I can find out who represents them, how to contact them, and then reach out that way as opposed to just, hoping somebody knows somebody type of thing.
100%. And I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It is that it's a directory, right? So a complete data of all these athletes. We have 12 sports on the site right now. We're growing that two sports per month. But it's, I mean, like Travis Kelsey, for example, we have 11 points of contact for him, right? We have his literary agent, his theatrical agent, his PR team, his on-field agent, his off-field agent, his endorsement agent, his attorney of record. We have all that kind of stuff. So whatever it is you're looking to do, we have that information that you would want to be able to reach out to him for. So when you look at someone like Travis Kelsey, who is, you know, always trying to be utilized and found, we have 11 points of contact for him, right? So not only can you find his on-field agent, his off-the-field agent, his endorsement agent, we can also find his literary agent, his theatrical agent, his attorney of record, his management team. We really try and fill out as much as possible for each of these athletes. So no matter what you're looking to do, you can find the right person in contact to get in touch with, and hopefully get to work with them. And I think when we created this, we had such a narrow focus of who our subscriber was going to be. I think we thought a lot of it was going to be CMOs, brands looking to work with athletes to endorse them. And we've been live for about 3 months and been so surprised at how broad the spectrum of users actually has been. And to your
Yeah.
point, one of our top is podcasters. We
Interesting.
have a ton of podcasters that have subscribed. We have a ton of financial advisors, some of the top financial advisors at JP Morgan, Chase, all these different Morgan Stanley, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to get a lot of these rookies right when they come into the league to be their financial advisors.
Yeah.
So this is a whole wealth of data for them that we hadn't initially thought of either. And, we still have the big guys. We have Coca-Cola, we have Netflix, CNBC that have all subscribed as well. And because you don't realize everyone's trying to, whether it's for an article, editorial, podcast, investment, endorsement deal, whatever it may be, athletes are the kind of new celebrity spokespeople.
Yeah. So how do you get all this information, if you don't mind me asking? Like, you just have guys out there just searching, and then of course they have to verify to make sure it's okay. And I'm sure there's a certain amount of privacy and security and all that kind of stuff. How do you work through all that and make sure what you have is accurate and that people are okay with you having that information?
Yeah, it's a great question. And that's essentially our moat, right? Because we took a long time to collect this data, also to verify it. And because not only do we showcase the contact information, but we also showcase all their endorsement deals, all their business ventures, so everything they've invested in, the philanthropy, so the charities they're associated with, their contract details, and then as well their vitals and their contact information. So it's not just as simple as going out and finding the contact information. We're having to pile through all this information that some you can find, some you can't. Some of it's past, not current. So we have to sift through all that. And that's really the moat here because you can't just scrape the information and you have to really get in the ditches and figure it out and have a really good relationship with a bunch of the agents, management teams to help provide that information for you and also, clarify that it is in fact their email address. So one of the things we have that's really going for us is that we have such a great pool of investors, and one of those being Scott Boras, who is one of the top agents of all time, especially in the baseball field. Um, and we have heads of other agencies, and the fact that we have those, the ability to reach out to them, have them invested, they are super helpful in helping provide us with accurate information that helps just build the database, but most importantly, make it accurate. And that's something that we really are passionate about in the sense that, if you subscribe to a company, you want to make sure that you're getting your money's worth.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that every single piece of information that we provide, whether it be phone number or email, is completely accurate. And every email is deliverable, right? We have two different email APIs we put on the site to make sure that every email is deliverable, and it checks it, 50 times a day. And if one of them comes back as non-deliverable, that means that the agent has probably left that agency and gone to another agency. We then dive in, do some detective work, figure out what the new email address is, reach out, and then update it so that everyone's getting that correct information. Because the last thing you want to do is subscribe, reach out, and hear nothing back. And
Yeah.
thankfully, we are a new business, so we reach out to a lot of our subscribers, make sure that they're being able to connect with the people they are, and we've had extremely great success rate.
That's great. Now you said you launched about 3 months ago, right?
Yes, sir.
So are you getting subscribers signing up? Are you meeting your expectations? Is it as hot as you thought it would be?
It is, thankfully. And, this is kind of putting our foot in the water and wanting to learn from the subscribers. We haven't done any marketing yet. We've just done some PR through editorial,
Yeah.
which has brought us a tremendous amount of traffic already. So we are exceeding expectations of what we thought we'd get in the first few months. Um, One of our first subscribers was Coca-Cola. We have Netflix. We have JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. We have a huge pool of Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies, as well
Right.
as a ton of top podcasts that have subscribed. So we are exceeding what we thought. Now the work starts, and we're learning from them. What can we do better? How can we enhance the site, and continually making it better to go out and do the marketing that needs to be done to let people know who we are and what we're doing.
Now, since you were in the acting field in Hollywood, I'm sure you're familiar with no, and you have to be probably really resilient to do that. So I'm curious how, being an actor and dealing with that, and now you're an entrepreneur starting this new business. Are there similarities? Did you learn things from that acting world that are helping you as you build this business?
I mean, you hit it. Like in the entertainment world, in the acting world, you hear no every single day. It just becomes a part of your life, right? And why you might not get the role could be numerous reasons. I mean, it could be you're too tall. If the actress they've already cast is 5'4" and I'm 6'1", they don't want that because they don't want to have to shoot down over your shoulder. And so that messes it up, right? So that could be a reason you're not good looking enough, you're not prepared enough. I mean, the reasons are endless. So you hear no every day. And what it's done for me, it's really built a thick skin. And that thick skin has translated into the business world and been, I think, my biggest asset going into it. Because when you're doing a startup, I was really lucky to have Aaron to understand the problem and see the problem and believe in it and go forward with it with me. But still, like, just because he's there doesn't mean, we want this business to stand alone, but to find investors, to find partners that believe in the idea. I mean, you hear no all the time. And
Yeah.
it's that realization of not taking it personal, and that for every no, you should get excited because you're one no closer to a yes. And it's that ability to take it in stride and say, and almost with an excitement, and say, okay, you know what? They didn't see the vision or didn't believe in the vision, so they're just not right for it. Doesn't mean it's a bad idea or a bad vision. It's just not right for that singular person. And to keep pushing on and to find, because there is someone out there who will believe in your idea with you and commit time, capital, whatever it may be. And that's what I really took from the acting world, because it at first, and it's the churn rate on acting is huge
Yeah.
because it's tough. It's really tough and it beats you down. And once you can kind of get over that hump, that it's not all personal, and even if it is, like, whatever it may be, it's just you move on. And as
Yeah.
soon as you walk out of that audition room, you leave it all in the room. You don't take any of it with you. And it's the same with an investor meeting or pitch or whatever it may be. You just leave it at the door. And it's
Yeah.
it's tough.
Another comparison you mentioned earlier that I think is probably really important too, and is networking, how to network and how to do that. And, it sounds like you're a relationship builder. So, what's your style on that? Does it just come natural to you and you're an easy person to talk with and get along with, or is there an intentional way that you network?
I think the best networking is so key in everything that every business, every profession. I think the biggest thing for me as a networker, it's hard to say I'm good at networking, but I'm a people person. I like talking. I like meeting new people. Is is listening and finding, almost being a chameleon and being able to find that subject matter or that one thing that you both have that relates, that you can expand on, and just getting to know who the person is, what they do. And I mean, especially in this business, like, I mean, I say that, but it's every business, getting to know people. And I've lived in the UK and I've lived in the US, and I find something that's so amazing about Americans is the thought process of wanting to help, where the UK is a little more standoffish with that. It's like you do you, I'm gonna do me. And
Yeah,
then again, it's not all, all people in the UK,
sure.
but it's a big majority of like, oh, they don't like to see other people do well because it says something about them. And the Americans, it's very much like, when I was in LA, we had groups of founders, startup founders would just get together. We didn't want anything from anyone. We just wanted to help each other and have bounce ideas off of it because we're all in this together, right? And it's such a hard streak. And if you don't have someone to talk to or reach out to, it's a very lonely, long, exhausting road with a lot of sleepless nights. So it's nice to be able to have someone that's maybe a different industry, but are going through the same things and asking questions and not having an ego about it to learn. That was a big thing for me is like, this didn't come easy. I had ups and downs and, we did a big pivot. We started out as this broader, I wanted to be everything that sports had to offer with stats and editorial and we did that and those two elements ended up being our biggest costs associated with the business. But
Mhm.
as I looked at, and I never thought I'd say this, but as I become an SEO junkie, I started realizing why people were coming to our site because we were having, we originally was called OSDB Sports. The name was hard, OSDB, it was an acronym, online sports database. It was difficult for people to figure out, to understand what we did. We originally wanted it because of a close tie to IMDb, but we were too broad, and all that cost associated with those two elements was we were people were coming to us for our differentiators, but we were in an arena that was had behemoths in it, right? Like how do you
Yeah,
compete with ESPN with stats? How do you compete with any of the other, again, ESPN with editorial or the other 100 of them? And once we took those away and really looked at why the customers were coming to us, which was our differentiators, our business ventures, our endorsement deals, our contact information, and narrowed the focus, our burn rate went down significantly, right? Which in turn gives us more runway. And it was a very hard, as a founder, process to go through to say, maybe I bit off more than I can chew,
yeah,
and to say that I wasn't right.
yeah.
And that was
Well,
that was that was
that's
really
pretty,
difficult. But it was
that's pretty
listening to
common.
other people and asking questions and
Yeah,
figuring out like, okay, well, if this isn't it, then what do we do?
yeah, yeah. So now I can only imagine how busy and distracted Aaron Rodgers is right now
Mm.
as we speak because he's right in the middle of his NFL season.
He's about to go
But
on right now, yeah.
yeah,
In the
so what's he
Dolphins.
going to? Uh, will he be more available, or will he get more involved in the company in the off season?
Aaron's been great in the sense that he he's one of the smartest individuals I've ever met. He
Hmm.
has a memory like you wouldn't believe. You can ask him any play, anytime, and he can tell you what was on the clock, who he threw the ball to, was it an out route, far the yardage was. It's pretty astounding. But he's been super helpful. I mean, the whole philanthropy section was him because he has a ton of charities. And
Yeah,
it was something that he said, these athletes are giving so much of their time to these causes that are helping people. We should showcase that. And on top of that, if a brand wants to work with an athlete, if the philanthropy is aligned, it's even more of a reason to want to work with them.
yeah,
And it ended up being that's we have a lot of charities that subscribe, and
yeah,
it's to see if they can find new athletes to work with. And it's hands-on things like that that he had an insight to that I didn't even think of. That's been super helpful to the business when there is a season. Like, listen, this is his day job. He is When it's football season, he is 100% committed to football.
yeah.
And I'm thankful for the off season because he gives me a lot of his time. And he's got a bunch of businesses and things taking up that time as well, but he's super gracious with it, and he has been very instrumental in building the site to what you see today
Mm.
and continually going on. And like, I'll get an email at 2 a.m. being like, hey, I was on the site last night. Like, we need to update this, or this needs to be changed, or blah, blah, blah. And it's one of those guys that never sleeps and is always looking to improve, which is good for me because I'll wake up to a flurry of emails and then, you just jump right on it.
Well, he is very unique. I think, again, I don't know Aaron, but I interviewed the physical therapist that worked for the Packers for 25 years, and
Oh
just in
wow.
conversation, I said, "Well, what's the difference between, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers?" And he laughed and he said, "Oh my God, there's so much difference." He goes, Brett Favre would be the guy that is so competitive and so, just want to get it done that he'd throw a ball right through a brick wall if he could and, therefore made some mistakes. And he says, but Aaron Rodgers is like a neurosurgeon when he throws the ball. He knows exactly where it's going to go, exactly what to do. And he said he's just a very different approach. So I would think in a business world and in a venture like this that you're going to, having a mind like that is probably real helpful.
Yeah, and I think those two guys met Brett, and they couldn't be more polar opposites. They
Yeah.
could both sling a football like no one's business.
Hmm.
But when it comes to off the field endeavors, Aaron just has that business mindset. And not to say
Yeah.
that Brett doesn't, but it's there's things that have happened in his past and in Brett's that could make you say otherwise.
Yeah.
But Aaron has this really business mindset that he can again see things like he can look at the defense and see things that most quarterbacks couldn't see. And it's the same way when it comes to a startup or a business that he's looking 5 years ahead and I'm looking 6 months ahead and he can see
Yeah.
things. And I'm so lucky to have him on my team.
Sounds like it.
Uh, you know, so it's been great. And honestly, like I couldn't have done this without him.
Yeah.
Just having the idea and having someone like that behind it to push it forward and also give me that clarity that there is a need for this was massive. Did he get me indoors? Absolutely. Like I,
That, that
that's
always helps.
that
That
always
always
helps.
helps.
And
Yeah.
I'd be remiss to say that doing a startup without him, it would have been a much tougher road to go down. But you make do with what you got, and thankfully I got one of the best. But it's still been a ton of adversity and a ton of. I mean, I can't like yeah, I wear one of these Aura rings and my sleep score is just awful because I stay up all night just
Yeah.
thinking about what I need to be doing the next day. And we all wear a bunch of hats, and I'm doing data collection, and I'm doing investment calls, and I'm doing partnership calls, and so mine never stops. But that again, that's why we do it.
Yeah. And you're adding a bunch of other sports, right? It's not just the big, five or eight. I mean, you're trying to get up to 50 plus, right?
Yes, sir. So we just I mean, we're going global now too. So we just added IPL, Indian Premier League.
Hmm.
Um, we just added the paddle, professional paddle. We're adding NASCAR. We added F1, PGA, LPGA, WNBA. So we've got our first women's sports on there, which we're very excited about. But yeah, we're doing rodeo, we're doing darts, we're doing rugby, you name it. If it's a sport and you get paid to do it, my buddy is one of the best fencers in the world in the Olympics, Miles Shamley Watson, and he just created the first professional fencing league. So we'll,
Wow.
we'll be adding that as well. And that's where I'm
Yeah.
really excited is these underserved sports where all the athletes are super reliant on endorsement deals for their
Yeah.
livelihood, right? Like
Yeah.
like look at UFC. The guys make what 40, maybe 80,000 a year, step it into the octagon. Where they make all their money is out of the octagon, right? With what they're putting on their trousers or what they're putting in their workout stations, like whatever it may be, that's where they're making the brunt of their money. And so if we can help them do that, um, then that's essentially why we created this business.
Yeah, that's great. Now, on the personal side, I heard or read somewhere that you actually lived in the Pacific Palisades neighborhood and basically moved right before the disastrous fires. So that had to be crazy.
That was such a beautiful little neighborhood. It
Mm.
was a little pocket of normal Americana. I mean, wealthy Americana, but nice Americana within LA because
Yeah,
LA's can from language be like a shit show and in traffic
I can imagine.
and just
Yeah.
craziness. And it was this nice little bubble. And we ended up getting out about 2 months, sold the house about 2 months before the fires happened.
Oh my gosh.
And you always kind of think like it could happen, but not to us
Right.
or our neighborhood. And when all that was going on, we texted our neighbors and said, "How's it going?" And they literally sent a photo of the house being burnt, like burning to the ground. And it was just one of those things where you have the memories and the kids and all this stuff love it. And we went back to LA not that long ago, and kids wanted to go see the old street and what had happened. And we just talked about it, and so we just want to have good memories of it, and
Yeah.
not you don't want to give this mindset that what it looks like now is it's a third
Yeah.
world country. I mean, it's horrible. And the
Yeah.
problem everyone's having too is even if you rebuild, you're living next to construction for the next 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. So
It's
why
really
move to
sad.
London? That's a big jump from Texas to LA to London.
Yeah, it was a big one. So my girl, she's English.
Okay, there you go.
Her family, always follow the women.
Yeah.
And her family still lives out there.
Okay.
So just wanted to kind of everyone was even my friends, everyone was just tired of LA. I'd been there for 20 some years. She'd been there for 12. Um, and just wanted to try something new. And
Yeah.
it happened to be London, which is great. It's so funny. London, the UK, we speak the same language, but it's different. And I'm a
Yeah.
big history buff, so getting to learn, walking around talking to ChatGPT as my tour guide, telling me about everything that's happened and where King Henry VIII was, and so it's been very very cool. And on top of that, the best thing for me was learning, as we go global, more about European sports,
Yeah.
right? And
Well,
and it's really
yeah.
strange, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but European sports are 5 to 10 years behind the US in the sense that with endorsement deals, with
Yeah.
visibility, with who represents them, with showcasing their contracts. The big thing is visibility in the sense that, like, LeBron says athletes are more than athletes. Well, in the UK, athletes are just athletes. It's kind of
Mhm.
like stay in your lane. Um, but they have a hunger for wanting to do more. You're starting to see like athlete backed funds pop up. So they're starting to invest over there. They're starting to kind of dive into the endorsement world, even though it's unless you're Beckham or Ronaldo, the jump down is there's no one else really doing it. And it's just
Yeah.
because it's just they haven't found that niche yet, and they haven't, there's it's starting to change, which is good, but we want to be there at the forefront of it. And had I not lived there, I would never have understood that.
Yeah. Yeah. Real interesting. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up too, how'd you get the gig in the Ed Sheeran video of Kiss Me? That
You
holy
know,
cow, that was
it's
pretty good exposure, huh?
yeah. So a buddy of mine knew him and pretty much said like, "Hey, this is my favorite song. Like, would you mind?" And my buddy's a director, producer, and was like, "Hey," to Ed Sheeran was like, "Hey, would you mind if I like did a video for your song?" And he was like, "Absolutely, like, go do it. I'd love to
Yeah.
see what you come up with." And so we shot this video, and I don't know why. I guess I knew Ed Sheeran was big, but I didn't know the power of Ed Sheeran.
Hmm.
So we did this video, and he loved it. And we were like, "Can we release it on YouTube?" And he was like, "Absolutely." So we did. And me and the friend group, the director was like, "This is gonna be huge." And me and the friend group were like, "Well, I bet it doesn't get over 1 million views." Cut to, I don't know, 5 months later, it's at like 30, 40 million views. It was insane. I'm not sure what it's at to now. I think it's above 50, but I had no clue that it was gonna be this big.
Yeah.
And it's just the power of, I mean, it's a great song, Kiss Me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we shot it in like 2 days. Part of it's at my house.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it
Well,
was really cool.
if you would have had that, been thinking a little more business wise, you should have probably negotiated some kind of royalty where
So
the number of views would help, right?
that was the one thing that he did preface by saying is you're welcome to post it, but we're not sharing in the
Yeah.
in it because we A, he didn't know if it was gonna be good,
Right.
and B, don't put it out and put my name to it, and then it's shit, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give you any money for it. So I think it was more of a calling business card, and I did it as a favor to my friend, again, not knowing how big it was going to be. But yeah, if we'd gotten a cut of that, 50 million views, I'd be traveling a lot more.
Yeah, probably. Well, Ryan, In anticipation of our discussion today, is there anything I haven't brought up or anything that we haven't discussed that you want to be sure and get into the program today?
No, I mean, I'm a big fan of your podcast, and I just think that like, um, it's so cliche, but like the whole term "never ever give up"
Hmm.
is something that really, again, so cliche, but really just sticks with me because I could have given up on this a hundred times. It's definitely in acting, right? Like
Yeah, for
pushing
sure.
through and pushing through and pushing through, and how like just don't let no stand in your way.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
break through it and take it in stride and let it leave it at the door and keep moving forward because it is such a powerful thing.
At this point in the interview, I always ask my guests the same common question, and that question is, in relation to leadership, what is a pearl of wisdom that you could leave us with today?
Oh man, it's a good question. Be hard, but be kind.
Yeah.
I think, you know, employees is such a tough gambit to go down because, and I don't want to talk negatively on this group, but like, we have a bunch of researchers and they're younger. I always try to make sure that we hire people that are engaged in sports and love it because you gotta love what you do. Um, but they just, they don't want to work as hard as the other generations that I have.
Hmm.
Um, but I think to kind of piggyback on your leadership question is love what you do. And
Yeah,
someone asked me a question of like, how do I see myself as successful? And not necessarily in a business sense, but I find myself successful in the sense that every day I wake up and I really love what I do. And that's to me, that's a big success because I could be hating life every day. And no matter what's thrown at me, at least I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
for sure. And I love your message, be kind. I mean, it just seems like we all know that just being nice to people works, I don't understand why, we have to feel like people don't get that as organically, I think, as they should. It just kind of seems, I don't know, maybe you and I just think it's natural, but it goes a long ways. People just want to
It
be treated well.
Well, you want to work hard for someone that's nice to you,
Yeah, for sure.
right? Like we've all had those bosses before that are just like hard and everything you do is wrong. And if I'm going to help you create your business, just be kind. And also like I let people know like if you do something wrong, we're going to work on this, we're going to fix it. But when they
Yeah,
do something right, I'm there to pat them on the back and say like that was a great job.
yeah. So what's the next few years look like? I know that you just got this thing launched. You're excited. You got the passion behind it. You got the good momentum out of the gates. What's this thing look like in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, start the marketing process, growth, right? Just adding 2 to 3 sports per month. We're super agile, so we're able to pivot on those if something comes up that has a big audience or needs that visibility. Um, yeah, and still enjoying it every day. I mean, it's we've been at this for a while, and I still enjoy it now. So hopefully, I enjoy it in the future. And really, I think hopefully within 5 years, we're the new IMDb of sports.
Yeah, great. Well, it looks like you're well on your way.
I appreciate that.
Ryan, it's been a real pleasure, and I enjoyed talking to you. It's great to hear your story and see you just keep going strong, and things seem to be falling in place. So keep doing what you're doing, and I think we can all learn a lot from your story. And thanks for sharing it.
I appreciate it. You keep doing what you're doing because it's a great listen.
Okay, great. Well, have a good rest of your evening, and maybe we'll run into each other down the road one of these days.
Absolutely. I appreciate you.
Okay, Ryan, take care. Bye bye now.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Profiles in Leadership. To listen to all my interviews, subscribe to Profiles in Leadership with Steve Anderson on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and many other popular podcast platforms. Some of these interviews are on video, and you can search YouTube for Profiles in Leadership with Steve Anderson. You can also access the entire library of interviews on my website, orange.coaching.com, and that is orange, the word.coaching.com, and go to the Media Center and click on Podcasts or Video Gallery. You can also enter the website from pilpodcast.com.